Hey, Blue Table fans. This is Sean here, and what you're looking at right now is my computer. And what I'm doing is taking you on a magical journey of rumors. Rumors are a big deal in the wargaming community. And before we get started, I want to say I'm going to take as long with this as I want to. This is meant to be more like a radio show type thing. For those of you that don't like to read, you can just listen. There will be some background noise because that's a fact of life at the studio. This is a website called Warseer, and they used in the 90s. They used to be called Portent, and I just absolutely love them. Couldn't get enough of them. And so you go Warseer home. Over here you see forums, gallery, what's new. So we're going to go to the forum. So you go ahead and scroll down here, and there's a section called Warhammer. That's Warhammer Fantasy News and Rumor Discussion. Warhammer 40K News and Rumor Discussion. So let's go ahead and go to 40K first. And you have to skim here. And by the way, with regards to rumors, it's like there's repeats of stuff just absolutely everywhere. And so it's hard to know exactly what's right and what isn't. After a while, you just kind of get a feel for it. So let's go ahead and start up here. 2012 releases. That looks really interesting. So here's a guy. Originally, so you have this guy, Darnock. He's posting this, but he's really just quoting somebody else. So according to this, he was right in all of his release predictions except for May. Dark Angels or Chaos Codex, obviously that didn't happen. July, 40K 6th edition, that's already happened. August, a 40K model wave, that should be announced already. As you know, the Demons of Chaos not only got an update in the most recent White Dwarf, they got like a little booklet showing some new units and almost like a mini codex. But there's also new models coming. And notably among that is that what is it called? The Soul Grinder, which is a 40K Demons model, a big six-legged kind of scorpion demon looking guy. He is usable in Warhammer Fantasy, so there's stats on that, and I'm sure lots of people will be commentating on that. So according to this September Warriors of Chaos book, I'm not sure if that's right. I have heard that September 1st is the release date for Chaos Space Marines. It says October Empire models and Dark Angel or Chaos Codex, November Hobbit, December Warriors of Chaos model wave, and 40K model wave. So there's that one. Okay, next shot. So we went back to our main list here. And by the way, I'm going to be going to lots of different sites on this and hopefully give you good sources of where to go. Warseer is a big one. They've been around, I'm going to say, at least 15 years. And so they've definitely stood the test of time. So here's a new post on, it says BOK right here. That stands for Blood of Kittens, which is kind of like a roundup of different news sources, and they're pretty shameless in pulling things from different places. So anyway, I'm just going to read through this and make some comments. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to take all of these rumors and give them some context and also maybe a little education for new war gamers, because I've noticed that people just getting into the hobby, things that are obvious to us old-timers aren't so obvious to other people. So it says hardback. Now that is not overly surprising. Excuse me, I was taking a sip of water there. So up here you see that it's hardback. Well, that would be in line with what they did with the Warhammer Fantasy books, and I'm glad to see it. They're more expensive, but really your Army book is a one-time expense. Eye of the Gods like table, like Warhammer Fantasy Battles, Warriors of Chaos table. That would actually be, again, in line with what's happening, which is a lot of synchronicity is coming to the two games. Like they're making it so that some of the feel is still there. You get to roll on whenever a character kills another character. Okay, we all know what that is. Okay, Chaos Cultists are in. True, said this and others before. Now that's interesting because Chaos Space Marines traditionally have not had cheap models in there. So Chaos Cultists, I would predict they're going to be probably between 4 and 6 points each. And yeah, it also might be a thing like some armies cost more, and let's face it, Games Workshop's a business. So, you know, there's some armies that are more expensive than other armies. Like Grey Knights, they can't be making as much from Grey Knights as they are from Imperial Guard. Because you can either purchase, assemble, and paint 1 Grey Knight, or purchase, assemble, and paint 3 Cadian Guardsmen. So that's what I have to say about Chaos Cultists, but I'm glad to see it. I think they'll add something really to the book, a different dimension, so to speak. The Dragon Flyer is in. Now, there's a description here, but I haven't seen any sort of pictures, like leaked pictures of this. So, you know what? I'm just going to see if I can find some. Okay, I don't think this is it, but this may be some kind of inspiration for it. This is actually an epic flyer, Tzeentch themed. You see a little Tzeentch symbol there, and that is that is from Daka Daka. By the way, so I'm not saying this is the new Chaos Flyer. I'm saying this is all I could find. So here we go. Dark Apostles, Word Bearers Rejoice. Word Bearers are a faction of Chaos Space Marines, and Dark Apostles are kind of like the evil version of a Space Marine chaplain. Warp Smiths, Chaos Tech Marines that can curse vehicles and degrade terrain. New Demon Engine, halfway between Dreadnought and Defiler. Now, this is an interesting trend. It's like Dreadnoughts used to hold a very prominent place in the game and in the background. But they've started making more and more things that are kind of cooler than Dreadnoughts, and so I wonder what's gonna happen there. Defilers are demons and have a 5+ invulnerable save. Cult units are elites and are unlocked to troops by appropriate HQ choices. Now that's interesting because I'm not sure that is where things are going. If I had to say something wasn't right in here, it would be that I think Games Workshop is starting to shy away from a thing where you take this one special character and it changes the entire army list. It changes the force organization. Next one, no cult terminators. That means terminators that are themed to the various chaos gods, like Tzeentch terminators, Slaanesh terminators. And all that. Obliterators are exclusively for shooting, so no power fists. False, they will shoot, but still have a power fist. Huh. It's interesting. So that's what happens with a lot of these rumor threads, is you have the original one, and then somebody comes along and like adds their own comments. Oh my gosh, exactly what I'm doing, except I'm doing it verbally, so I don't know. Maybe I'm the first person to think of that. I doubt it. 2 types of raptors now. Regular Chaos Space Marines with jump packs and possessed demonic raptors with lightning claws. That's interesting. Possessed take multiple benefits from Eye of God's table, maybe. No demons in the codex, but there are allies, so they don't need them in the codex. Now, you know what? Before I go any further with this, I want to go to this really, really cool thingamajig I found here, which is it's from Natka, and it's a blog, and so I guess it's just this this guy. He's I'm assuming in hello. Okay, so this is someone named Scissorheart sending a letter to this guy who's now posting on his blog. See that? Echo, echo, echo. Okay, as discussed a few weeks back, I attended. I'm just going to read this verbatim and then make some of my own comments. As discussed a few weeks back, I attended the 40K Design Studio Open Day today. I've written up all my notes exclusively for you. I'm not sure if this is how you would like it presented, but there's some fascinating tidbits of info in here. I've attached a pic, too, of my bro standing next to a life-size rhino. Ooh, check that out. There he is right there. And okay, so here we go. Today, my brother and I attended the Warhammer World Design Studio Open Day at GWHQ in Nottingham, UK. Throughout the day, there were a number of seminars covering many aspects of the hobby, from painting, terrain building, flyer demos, participation games, sculpting demos, and most importantly, for me at least, a chance to chat with the key games designers about the new rules and changes that have come to the game as a result. I was itching to get some insight into the thinking behind 6th edition's many features, and I must say that I acquired far more information than I'd expected to during the course of the event. Here's my compilation of mine and my bro's notes. I'm a follower of Natfka's blog, and I promised him a few weeks back that I would give him an exclusive rundown of the day's more interesting points so I could share what I learned with the community. So here we go. The first seminar of the day was hosted by Jervis Johnson, Matt Ward, and Jeremy Vitok, and they took turns responding to a number of predefined questions before opening up to the audience. I was frantically making notes during the course of the seminar, and I'll summarize here what I wrote and how the guys answered. By the way, this is really long. I might just burn up like 30 minutes just reading this out loud. Wow, in fact, let's go down. No, it's not too bad. It's mostly comments there. Okay, question 1. What were the key objectives in 6th edition? You know what? I'm going to see if my camera will actually record this well enough that you can read it. Wouldn't that be something? The ultimate goal of 6th edition, according to Jervis, was to tackle what both he and Matt described as associative and disassociative rules and add more realism to the game. By the way, some of the people that comment on this blog post really shed some light on this, so I'm actually going to read some of the comments later. For example, you notice here it says EG. That is from Latin, and it's an abbreviation that says exempli gratis, which means, I guess loosely translated, free example. So EG means for example. If a poison dagger had +1 weapon skill in close combat, that would be deemed as disassociative, as it makes little sense. However, if it gave you a reroll to wound, that would be associative, as it would capture the essence of a poisoned attack being made and potentially causing damage as a result of it being laced with some horrifying toxin. Other examples of associative rules include the ability to throw grenades and the distinction between different power weapons. By making certain rules associative, the game adds more weight to the feel of the units on the table. Flyers crashing to the ground is another example of this, as is wound allocation and shooting, models vanishing from the front of units and not the back. It's all about realism. Question 2, why include so much hobby and fluff into the rulebook? That's a question I have too. Every time I get one of those giant rulebooks, I think about going down to my local copy shop, and just tell them to chop out that part and rebind it. Okay, all 3 commented on the importance of seeing the hobby as a whole. A new player to 40k would grasp the broad depth of the hobby in one mighty tome. Again, Jervis mentioned the significance of adding weight to the game and posited that all aspects were synonymous. In the opinion of the designers, the fluff adds an important aspect to the game as it puts the whole experience into context and provides a rich narrative for the tabletop game itself. My comments here, this ties into what I have always said, which is that miniatures battles really are a type of role-playing game. And in role-playing, of course, everything's about the story. Question 3, why is the background of 40k so Imperial-centric? The designers consider the Imperium to be the largest empire of the 41st millennium. The story really centers on the rise and fall of the Imperium, and the Xeno codexes almost orbit this story. That's pretty much the way it's been written since Rogue Trader, and there's really no moving away from it as the central narrative to the 40k universe. Now, what this makes me wonder is, what are the narratives of the other games? Do they have a strong central narrative? What's the narrative of War Machine, for example? I'd like to hear your opinion. Question 4, why hull points? Oh, wow. According to Matt Ward, vehicles in previous editions didn't seem to fit very well with the rest of the game system and made for an odd and peculiar situations. He mentioned that there was little granularity to the vehicle rules compared to other unit types. The addition of hull points is therefore used to make vehicles more inclusive during a game and give them continued presence even after having taken a few direct hits. Jervis said that it flattened out the extremes. Vehicles used to get obliterated in turn 1 or take damage that would render them ineffective for a turn or two, which didn't really flow too well. Hull points therefore allow players to enjoy the attributes of their expensive vehicles without them vanishing off the table, having done virtually nothing. Hear, hear. And by the way, some of you have heard my bit on who is this Matt Ward fellow? He must be doing everything right. And but there is a truth to that, which I think Matt Ward's doing a really fantastic job, and he's doing well by the hobby. And really, humans have violent rejections to changes, and I think that's really what it's more about than actually Matt Ward's skill as a game designer. Question 5. Did you consider moving the timeline on? Not for this edition. They like the idea that the Imperium Man is at the brink. They don't see the current epic as being at a dead end and therefore do not need to change it. They did not rule out the prospect of changing this in the future, however. One good point that Matt made was that it has moved on anyway since 2nd and 3rd, as we now have Tau, Dark Eldar, Sisters, and Necrons. That's interesting. My comments? I was actually hoping that they would do like the rise of Lionel Johnson and the reconquest of the universe. I think there needs to be some kind of notable change. Okay, question 6. Why allies and fortifications? Jervis said that the old fluff in previous editions made many references to scenarios where different races forged alliances in various situations. He felt that later editions had polarized armies and made them rather restricted. They wanted to open up the game as a means to circumvent some of those restrictions and allow for more diverse tactics on the table. My comment there, yep, that's exactly what I was saying. The fluff can now follow on and provide literature that encompasses those often tenuous alliances. Many alliances have obvious narrative value. In terms of fortifications, Jervis considered these beautiful plastic kits as somewhat wasted given their aesthetic value on the table. Hear, hear. Terrain as an actual model. Fantastic. Something, by the way, that we had discussed as when we were designing our own game in-house, which of course we have iced indefinitely at this time, as there are so many actors entering this arena that it is crazy. Good business. Stick with your strengths. Okay, question 6. Why random charge distance? This rule came as a result of the associative wound allocation in Overwatch rules. There are 2 aspects to this, however. If your front line is going to take snapfire hits, there needs to be some compensation for the front line going down and cutting your charge range. The random charge roll helps a unit get into combat regardless of having been whittled down at the front, provided you roll high enough. But it also adds a sense of realism in that battles are violent and chaotic, meaning that sometimes, for whatever reason, you just don't make it far enough. Jervis acknowledged that some gamers don't like having control removed, but argued that a swirling battle full of death, destruction, and explosion wasn't really an environment where controlled and predictable actions were likely. In his word, it adds tension and drama to the game. Now that I buy. Question 7. How difficult was it to add flyer rules into the game? Matt Ward picked this one up. He said it was relatively simple, given that flyers were an extension to the revised vehicle rules. The team said that they had an idea of a mechanic due to Apocalypse, but held off until 6 to fully include them. Seems as though they had been toying with the idea in 5th, but the rest of the rules didn't allow for it too well. Question 8. Why challenges? The team wanted to create the sense that characters were leading their troops into battle and not just skulking around at the backs of units. It also gave lesser characters, i.e. Space Marine sergeants, the opportunity to exhibit moments of heroics, leaving to save their captain with 1 wound left from the ravaging demon prince, for example. Now this one's interesting. Question 9. Why change the psychic rules? The team wanted to make psychers more akin to wizards in Warhammer Fantasy Battle. Arrgh! I hate that. They felt that half a page of rules in a codex simply didn't do them justice, especially for the likes of special character psychers. Let's face it, a psyker firing D6, strength 4, AP nothing hits in the shooting phase is little more than a gun, and therefore a menial extension to the shooting rules. The team considered the random aspect of it more associative, given the dangerous and often unpredictable nature of warp manipulation. This is really an example of fluff guiding rules, and I am really not into that. But that's what they did, so, love it or leave it. Some extra tidbits. 6th edition was actually finished 6 months ago. They thought long and hard about using a point system, but new players would have found it too confusing. Reason that charges are not allowed on Deep Strike is to prevent the utter predictability of mega hard units appearing anywhere and destroying whatever they like. There's a comment later on saying Imgarl Gene Stealers can still do that, which really makes them awesome still. New edition nerfs some units, provides buffs to others. The new codexes will rebalance incidents where this is too extreme. One guy complained, of course, that the new rules were adding unnecessary complexity, e.g. loads of new universal special rules. Ward argued that it's best to keep lots of the rules universal in the main rulebook. New codexes can then have units with a variety of special rules, and opponents will know exactly what to expect. He did caveat this by saying that universal special rules would still apply to characters in codexes. Now, here he gives notes about speaking to each of the designers individually, but I don't think we'll have time for that today. And unfortunately, also no time to go back here to Warseer and look at all these rumors. But there's, yes, you are clicking away already, no doubt. There's absolutely no reason why you can't just go look it up yourself. Hey, did want to share one thing with you. I came across this great business called Blood and Skulls Industry. Apparently it's primarily on eBay, although I do encourage people to go directly to people's websites if they have them. That does help them out just a little bit, although eBay does provide a very excellent service in hooking people up with the products they like, so there's nothing wrong with giving them their cut. Anyway, it's got lots of really neat accessories that could be used for a science fiction game, like these round turrets. In fact, let's turret not included. Well, but you can buy those separately. Look at that, isn't that neat? So like some automated cannon type thing there. Dual machine guns, it says. And I wonder where he is. When you go to eBay, look at their feedback. This guy has a 100% positive feedback and $1 shipping, and he's from Holly, Michigan. Ships to worldwide. So there is some really good stuff, and that's only $4 for that turret. So that's fantastic. If you're doing a commission with us and want to include some of this stuff, let us know, or even better, just order it yourself. That does tend to get it here just a little bit faster and more reliably. So yeah, there's some really neat stuff. Look at this Mako Assault Speeder Kit, $20, or you can get 5 of them for $90, and I just wish I knew how he cast them so exactly. I have to say this is really nice. In fact, let me show you kind of the blow up here. So here's this one. There she is. So it shows the different parts. Sorry, I'm operating 2 devices here and not very well. So be sure to tune in next time.